Welcome to Watch, Review, Repeat. This is the podcast where two best friends discuss the latest in film and television and then do it all over again the following week. My name is Colton Brown, and joining me is Andrew Meadows. Holy shit. Wow, that really came through with full force on my end. So I'm sure our listeners are going to appreciate a little bit. I need to get on. Russo!
Covering our favorite, I don't know, favorite man. He's probably the manliest man I've ever.
He's got the manliest yell. That's
for
sure.
Yeah.
Mr. Frank Castle, the Punisher himself, who got a second season on Netflix, and we're going to be shouting about it on this episode. Maybe that will be all the shouting. I make no promises. You know, so we might get to the time we talk about the actual show. Might get a little overexcited. Might start shouting about some guy named Russo. I don't know. I make no promises. So, but I do make promises to our listeners that Andrew has a fun fact ready to tell them.
I do have a fun fact for you and the listeners. Everyone who may be listening. There's a character in this show we're about to talk about. I don't think it's too spoilery because I think he arrives within the first episode, if I'm not mistaken, in some capacity. Either way, his name's John Pilgrim. He's portrayed by Josh Stewart, who is made famous by maybe the Collector series. I know he played in that. And he is based off of a character from the, I think you told me it was the Max line of comics. I think I heard you say just before we started recording.
Yeah, that's right. Punisher Max.
And this character's name is called the Mennonite. He's an Amish fella who desperately wants to be with his sick wife, but she is she's dying, so he has to. He gets hired by the mafia in order to try to scoop up the money to try to save her, I guess. So, and he gets hired to kill the Punisher. So that's the brief story of the Mennonite, and there's some parallels there drawn to John Carpenter. Not John Carpenter, not him. John Pilgrim.
I mean, John Carpenter does have a bit of a twisted mind, Gave us Halloween and a couple other things. So, that's cool. I think I have the first 6 trades of that Punisher Max series. I don't know.
Like it's probably something worth reading.
I loved it. I mean, Punisher is always, like a pretty hardcore character. He's always an anti-hero in the Marvel Universe, but he kind of has to, by necessity, be toned down in the Marvel Universe because you can't get too crazy violent with him. But Punisher Max was just like its own weird, separate universe where Punisher was as violent as he wanted to be. So I remember very vividly, there's I think it's literally like a whole full page of someone's face that's been blown apart with a shotgun. And it's just like the inside of their head, their skull. It's pretty gnarly looking, let's put it that way. But
yes, it probably should be. I mean, I feel like that's...
Yeah, no, but it was good. I always enjoyed that. I don't know when the Mennonite came in, because I don't recall that character from I don't recall it from actually reading the series, so it might have come in later, past where I was, or it's just been so long that I don't remember it. But anyway, I remember it being pretty badass, and I don't think I ever finished it. That's probably a good way of putting it. So
remember the Mennonite.
Possibly. And or probably. So yes, very cool. Thank you very much for that.
Spank you very much. Yeah.
Spank you very much. Yes, indeed. Let's talk some news for this week. We've got a mix of just some regular news, and then we've got some Super Bowl TV spots that we're going to get to at the tail end of this. Super Bowl happened. It was one of the most boring games I've ever watched. I don't know if you sat through it yourself, Andrew. I know you're not. I know you're not a big on sports, but for some reason the Super Bowl tends to transcend kind of like the sports or versus non-sports category.
For the first two quarters. Yeah, and then I departed my family's home, and I said, I'm just going to go home and watch a movie.
Yeah, it was. it did not get any better from that point. And plus, all the good TV spots aired in the first half too. I will say that.
As soon as Adam Levine started singing, and he
Did you stick around for when he took his shirt off?
No, as soon as he started singing, I heard it sounded like he was off key a little bit. Not that I could sing him any better because I can't. Okay, but he just didn't sound particularly good, and so it's like I don't really want to stay for this.
I think it's safe to say that that halftime show is not getting rave reviews on the internet. So
is it not?
You are not alone in that opinion, shall we say?
Okay, well, good. See,
but yeah. So we'll get to the Super Bowl stuff shortly. Fuck the Patriots. That is all. Nah, they're fine. I don't care. Like, honestly, the game was just so boring. Like, I didn't even give a shit. I'm like, what? Who cares? Patriots, whatever. You know, that was kind of my feelings by the end of the game. But news. We've got some news. I can kick it off this week. I have slew of DC-related news, and I've got it's mostly on the movie side of things. Actually, some pretty good-sized things happening. So I'll start with that. I'll start with I get like a little 20-second thing we saw on YouTube for the upcoming Birds of Prey film. Basically looked like a series of costume tests that they decided to kind of assemble into this little piece of footage and put on the internet for some reason.
Well, they put the Witcher thing on the internet, right?
Yeah, I'm not really feeling this whole trend of things. Like, costume tests are they're tests. They're just that, you know what I mean? Like, I don't know. I don't think it makes sense to show off footage like that as your first impression. It's fine to go like, oh, you know, the show's been out or the movie's been out, you know, for however long, and look at these original costume tests from like the first day when they were, you know, prepping, and I'm like, oh, that's cool, you know? Like, I'd go look at a costume test for like Marvel movies and shit and be like, oh, that's pretty cool, you know? But I don't really think it makes for a good first impression, especially in this case, I would say. And it's not to say that this movie is going to be bad. It very well could be. Very well could be entertaining and good. Yeah, I really don't know. I just find it odd to do that. The only reason I think I can offer for why I think they do this is because I think they were about to actually properly start filming, and I think the worry sometimes is you don't want your first impression to be bad set pictures. So there have been some set pictures of like Harley, but she just looks like Harley, and I'm like, okay,
right.
You know, we haven't seen any of the other costumes that we actually did see in this. I mean, we got a first look at Mary Elizabeth Winstead's Huntress, Journey Smollett's Black Canary, Ewan McGregor's quote unquote Black Mask.
He looks like Bono.
And then I think we saw Cassandra Cain. So and there's a Zaz in there, which like a lot of these characters, like if I didn't know who these characters were, I wouldn't look at their costume and think, oh, this is that character. Like I can kind of get it out of Canary. I can get it. Huntress, I can get it. But like, yeah, I don't know what the hell is going on with Ewan McGregor. Ewan McGregor, great actor. Let's not dispute that. But let's just hope that he doesn't look like that for the duration of this movie. And hopefully he actually wears, you know, a black mask at some point. That would, you know, that's just my 2 cents. That's my hot take for the day. So I'm gonna go out on a limb and say that this did not enthrall you. Would that be an accurate statement?
Oh no, you did not enthrall me. No.
Yeah, but you know, like I said, it could be fine. I just think it's kind of a weird thing. I don't know, but I mean, they put it out there, and you know, I guess at this point they are actually legitimately filming it. It's one of the few, like, you know, the 50 DC movies on the whiteboard that they're like, hey, we're actually going to make this one. So they are making it.
It's a thing.
I do have some news actually as a tack onto that. Sounds like the intention is to make this Birds of Prey thing into a trilogy of sorts. This is coming from the Hollywood Reporter, so this is legitness. It will be the first in a trilogy, the second of which would be a Gotham City Sirens, which typically consists of Harley, Catwoman, and Poison Ivy, which we had heard rumors about previously, so that's not super surprising. It seems like they were going to make that prior to this Birds of Prey movie, but then they didn't, obviously. And then the third one would be like I don't know if it's a versus movie or a team-up movie or whatever, but it would be the Birds of Prey plus Gotham City Sirens. So there you go. That's what's happening on that front. And
does that excite you?
I will wait and see how this one turns out before I decide if that, you know, if that excites me. I think that's probably costume test is nothing. I'm like, I mean, it didn't impress me on the costume design level.
Suicide
But
Squad. You did not say the full title of the Suicide Squad movie.
Oh yeah, Birds of Prey and the Fantabulous Emancipation of One Harley Quinn. Is that the movie in question?
So far, how is
you know what? Actually, I'm gonna confess that I actually completely forgot that was actually the title of this movie, and you've now convinced me that I do not want any of this anymore. So, fair play.
Yeah. So that's the thing.
Do you want all my DC news up front? Do you just want to get out of the way?
Yeah, just dump it all. Dump it all.
All right. Well, I've got some more news. Got plenty more DC news. Ben Affleck will no longer be the Caped Crusader. He is officially stepping down from the role of Batman. However, the Batman will continue with another actor taking on the role. So DC's officially dated, I guess Warner Brothers technically has officially dated The Batman for June 25th, 2021, with Matt Reeves attached as writer and director. Of course, directed the latter two Planet of the Apes films most recently, Dawn and War. And it's going to focus on a younger iteration of Bruce Wayne / Batman. So, I never hated Ben Affleck. I thought he was actually quite good in the role, and let down by being in dog shit films. That's probably, I think, the bottom line. So, obviously, this is probably not the way he anticipated things going, given that at one point he himself was supposed to write, direct, and star in that Batman movie, and now he is completely not involved whatsoever.
Right.
That's quite a turn of events. But I think it's probably honestly good for Ben Affleck's personal health. I think he's been in and out of rehab, and it's probably good for him to get his shit together. I think his life back on track instead of worrying about being Batman. So I think hopefully it works out for all parties. I think that's maybe where I'm going with that. Matt Reeves, I think, is a great pick for that. New Batman, no issues with that. As long as they get the casting right. So.
I heard a rumor, just to tack on your news. I don't know this to be true. I heard that Warner Brothers, right? I heard Warner Brothers was looking for Asian American casting for Batman Beyond. Did you hear about that?
I heard something about a Batman Beyond movie. I don't know if it was supposed to be animated or live action. I would assume animated because I don't know why you'd make a live action movie when you're literally doing another Batman right now. Mm-hmm. That's going to be a brand new Batman. But it also is Warner Brothers and DC we're talking about. So again, you have many ideas on the whiteboard, and it's very possible that, they say, all right, we're doing this one. They close their eyes and, spun around in circles a few times, and then they landed on, they pointed at one thing randomly with their eyes closed, and that by God, that was the one they came down with, was Batman Beyond. So, I mean, I like Batman Beyond. It'd be cool to see them do something with that, but
right.
I don't buy into that rumor too much.
To voice, you're right. I think it's still live.
So, I think an animated project would make sense. I could definitely see that happening, but I don't. Yeah, let's say live action. I don't think that makes a lot of sense. But
not right now. I hope so in the future. I always liked Batman Beyond.
I mean, if you're gonna do a Batman Beyond, you could have done it with like an older, like Ben Affleck Bruce Wayne, but at this point, I think that's a lost cause right now. So,
right.
Maybe table that and do it in 10 years when whoever they end up hiring as Batman is done being Batman or whatever. Assuming that they keep making movies for 10 years, which, let's be honest, it's WB and DC. They will.
They probably will, yeah.
Yeah. So,
what other DC news you got?
I have word that Mr. James Gunn is in talks he's officially in talks now to direct The Suicide Squad. That's what DC's doing. They're just putting the in front of everything. So this would be I don't know how to put this. It doesn't seem to be a total reboot of the Suicide Squad property, but it will definitely be it will not be a sequel to the dog shit one from a few years back. Let's put it that way. Okay. So I think my understanding is that Harley would be back for this. Margot Robbie would be back as Harley because she's
why the fuck not?
Apparently going to be in everything.
Right.
But no Will Smith, no whoever the fuck was in that stupid movie. Katana, she's got my back. Sword traps the souls of its victims.
None of that?
Cut you down, single stroke, like mowing the lawn. All that. I think that's all out. I think that's all gone. Presumably the Jared Leto Joker has been banned from existence as well. As I understand it, James Gunn is not a big fan of Jared Leto. I think they had some sort of Twitter feud. It might have been a one-sided Twitter feud, but I read something with Gunn kind of going in on him a little while back. So seems like there's some bad blood, which is fine. I would be perfectly content to never see that man in a DC film ever again. I think that I speak for probably a good amount of people and uttering that sentiment. But I Suicide Squad, it's a weird collection of individuals in a way that Guardians of the Galaxy was kind of like. It's just like this hodgepodge group of people. And I honestly think there's no reason that the Suicide Squad cannot work in a film property. So... yeah, as long as I think WB and DC lets kind of Gunn embrace the weirdness of that and let him do his thing, and as long as he has a vision that is nothing close to whatever the fuck that movie was a few years back, then sure, why not? He should be doing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. We shouldn't be in this situation. That's on Disney. We're gonna have to sacrifice our paycheck for this episode for now. Maybe we'll only get a half one because we might say some nice things in a little while. But yeah. So James Gunn, Suicide Squad, the Suicide Squad,
Squad.
I gotta correct myself there. So yeah, that's what's happening on that front. So are you all in on the Suicide Squad?
No, I'm not.
It's not really surprising.
Show me something to change my mind. But so far, what I have...
That's fair.
Show me... Yeah, that's what I've got. Show me something to change my mind. Because right now I'm not feeling very hopeful about anything Suicide Squad related. Or Harley Quinn related. Or Jared Leto Joker related. So...
what about Jaquan Phoenix Joker related? I don't have any news on that front, but just I don't know how you're feeling about that.
It's not a movie I want. Show me something to change my mind. I'm not real excited about it either. Yeah. So...
Anyway, that's the DC movie news that I have. Let's get out of the world of DC. I'm kind of already getting tired of it, to be honest. I do have one more DC news, but it's TV related, so we'll get to it later. What do you got?
I got some news.
Some news, right?
Yeah, you want me to give you my news?
Yeah,
I got good news.
Okay.
All right, so we have Denis Villeneuve's.
I'm sorry, what?
Dune. Denis Villeneuve. Dune. The same guy that directed Blade Runner 2049, Denis Villeneuve.
Denny? You talking about Denny?
No.
You know Denny's French, right?
His name's Dennis. D-E-N-I-S.
I don't think that's
like
true.
Dennis the Menace.
I'm pretty sure Dennis the Menace is spelled differently. Doesn't Dennis have two S's in it? Like Dennis the Menace, isn't that like with two S's at the end of it?
I don't know. Just phonetically, this looks like Dennis.
I don't think he's Denny the Menace. I'll give you that. But I think
Dennis, and then this instead of the Menace, this guy's name is Villeneuve. Villeneuve. Villeneuve.
I don't think that's right. I've been wrong before, but I'm pretty sure I'm right on this one. I'm willing to die on this hill. I believe that Mr. Denis Villeneuve is working on a Dune film. I do know that for a fact. But you have news. You have news on this front. I think that's probably the bigger story. Perhaps.
That is the bigger story. Maybe not his name, but I'm going to stand behind Denis Villeneuve.
Okay,
and
you do you, man.
I am happy to report that his cast is getting bigger and bigger and bigger by the week.
His already exceptional cast.
That's
to
correct.
Be fair. This isn't the first time we've talked about it. So
we've got Timothy Chalamet.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right.
Got that one right. What the fuck, man?
We got Rebecca Ferguson, which is Leggy Bay, right?
Leggy Bay. Yep.
All right. We have Stellan Skarsgård.
Yeah.
Right. We got Charlotte Rampling.
Okay. Yeah.
And Dave Bautista. Dave Bautista being the last one, I think, that we talked about.
Yeah, that sounds right.
All right. So here, the next big announcement we have Oscar Isaac. Did we talk about Oscar Isaac?
We did not talk about Oscar Isaac. Your boy has joined Dune.
Poe Dameron supposed to be cast as Leto Atreides the First, which is going to be Timothy Chalamet's dad. Essentially, is what it is.
Okay.
We have Zendaya.
Yeah. Yep.
Zendaya. She's MJ from Spider-Man, right? Is that right?
Yep.
Okay. She's going to play Chani, which is an Arrakis inhabitant. I think it becomes a love interest of Paul Atreides.
Yeah,
if I'm not
seems
mistaken.
age appropriate for Chalamet. So and she's great. So yes, very cool.
Then the big one. Well, Oscar Isaac is a big one in my opinion. I think that's huge news. But we also have Javier Bardem.
Jack Sparrow.
That's right.
Tell him death is coming straight for him.
And he's supposed to play...
Will you tell him for me, please?
Stilgar.
Is he a pirate with
No,
hair that is continually animated as if it was underwater?
But I can't remember exactly... his storyline. I mean, anyways, in Vulture it says, I don't remember him from the old Dune, and I haven't read enough of the book to even get to his character. But according to this article here, he becomes a general, and he eventually Paul ends up capturing his respect, and he ends up becoming a general of Paul Atreides. Okay. So, anyways, and I think he's a native, if I'm not mistaken, I think he's a native of Arrakis, which is the desert planet.
All right. This is all new to me. So,
and they all start fighting over a desert planet. And Javier Bardem and Zendaya are supposed to be natives of this planet. You have Dave Bautista, who's going to play the nephew of Stellan Skarsgård, which are the bad guys. That's what you got, and then you've got Oscar Isaac and Timothy Chalamet playing the good guys, along with Lady Jessica, which is Leggy Bay. That's going to be his mom, Paul Atreides' mom. So that's what we got. I don't know a whole lot, but I know these I think I know a little bit of the family ties, a little bit.
Yeah, well, I mean,
it's good stuff. If anything, watch the movie.
You don't need to saddle me with plot details. I can tell you that. You don't need to saddle me with plot details. That I'm in on the cast, and I'm in for Denis or Denis. That has me excited.
Denis Villeneuve? Is that what you mean?
That's it's pretty good. It's pretty good. Yeah, that's the man. That's the man we're talking about.
Denis Villeneuve or Denis Villeneuve.
Yeah.
That's like my name. My name would really be Darrell Miados. If you know, right? I can pronounce it that way. Miados.
I guess if you wanted to claim it that way, you could.
Claim it that way. It's my picture.
We'll have to re-record the intro. Joining me, as always, is Andrew Miados.
Yeah. I'll paint my picture the way I want it painted. All right? Anyways, I digress.
Yeah.
Good news.
Do you want my news? Do you have more news?
I have more news. I'll keep going. I'm like a freight train full of news.
Nothing stops this train.
We got Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Season 6, first look.
Yeah, we sure did.
And then Agent Coulson is dead, right? He died over there on that beach, right? That's what we're thinking?
That's what we're thinking.
And it says in the beginning of the first look, he's dead. You're like, oh, fuck, Agent Coulson's dead. What are we going to do? But then he's not dead. We have alternate dimension Agent Coulson, maybe.
We got something going on. I don't know if we know exactly what's going on. We know that Clark Gregg is definitely not going anywhere. I think we can say that. Whether or not, I don't know. It's very Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's very Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. way to handle it, because it is one of those things, like, if Clark Gregg did legitimately leave this show, I don't know, it'd be kind of crazy for him to leave, and then they were like, yeah, we're going to renew it for 2 more seasons when it's been on death's doorstep for like years now. Like, that would be kind of a wild move, but so it makes sense, I think, for him to stick around. It's such a good show.
I'm going to go off on the rails here a little bit. I'm really glad that I invested the time in the show. I really like the show.
Yeah,
I actually got into a debate with somebody the other night, and he said, a show that doesn't capture you within the first like 2 or 3 episodes isn't a show worth watching. I said, man, it may have started off wrong, okay, but man, sometimes things turn around, and sometimes showrunners change, and things change, and the story becomes worth watching. And I used Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. as that example. Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a pretty damn good show, I think.
Yeah, I would agree with you. I see his point in the sense that in a world where you have 1 billion, 1,000 billion TV shows that you could watch, it's tough to think like Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. It's really not even just the first. It's like legitimately half a season before before you can really
and the
sink
season
your
isn't
teeth into
fucking
it.
small by any stretch of the imagination.
Right,
like
that's a good 12, 13
right?
episodes before you're like, oh, okay, it's kind of turning the corner. So I that's 10 plus hours of TV for someone to be like, okay, now it's working. Like, I think that's a very legitimate point. But I stand by your statement. Yeah, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Once it clicks, and it does take a while to click, it's fucking phenomenal, and it's really just gotten better.
And in his defense, it's not one of those shows that it's not just slow paced. You know what I mean? It's just like there's storytelling problems. There's
it was
material problems. You know,
spent half of its first season trying to dodge the fact that S.H.I.E.L.D. was about to get dismantled before the end of the first season, and that was kind of like we can't really do anything until the show gets kind of broken apart in this really interesting way. So,
yeah.
But yes, as just I guess a general sidebar, I think. Pretty sure Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think all of the current seasons are on Netflix, and it's definitely one. I think it plays better if you binge it, which I imagine, if I recall correctly, I believe you binged through the first season or two at least, whereas I watched it live on air, and it had a miserable airing schedule, and that was a reason why it was especially difficult to watch in that first season.
The first three, I binged until it was current. I think I've only caught like 1 or 2 seasons like live. Which still isn't, to be fair. I still don't enjoy watching it live. I enjoy binging.
Right. Anyway, it's great. So, just a general recommendation for anyone that has an interest in it. It does take some time to get going, but once it does, it's definitely worth the investment overall. And it's on Netflix. So,
and the first look looks interesting.
And the first look does look interesting.
To bring it all back around.
Right. They're seems like they're pushing forward into the space direction that they kind of established in season 5, and that's cool.
Once you open up the space time continuum, you can't really dial that.
Well,
back.
it's like each season's kind of really had its own particular flavor, and so this one, at least from that, very much feels like season 5 part 2. In terms of like the setting of it,
right?
Doesn't mean it's going to be necessarily. Obviously, it could kind of go into a very weird, different direction at some point. But it definitely seems like they're doing more of the same, and there's nothing wrong with that approach when it works in the first place. So very cool, very cool. Well, let me go ahead and spit out my my TV news, because I know this is gonna thrill you. I know you're gonna be thrilled to learn that the CW. Your favorite network of all time, also mine, coincidentally, has renewed a grand total of 10 current series on air.
Oh, man. Best news.
Including every single superhero show on the lineup. So we're talking The Flash, Arrow, Supergirl, Black Lightning, Legends of Tomorrow, all getting new seasons.
Are you caught up?
Oh, no, I'm like way behind. And given the massive project we're about to undertake for our bonus episodes,
you're going to be another 6 months behind, right?
Yeah. It's not a priority at this point. So, Riverdale, Supernatural, Charmed, Legacies, and Dynasty also got renewed. Supernatural will be entering its 64th season, which is very impressive. Riverdale will continue to be quite possibly the most ridiculous show on television, and we all love the CW for what they've done for television. So I think we're all extremely excited by this news. I think that's the bottom line.
I am excited about this news.
That's cool. I do. I know that the CW stuff isn't good, and that's why
what's going to happen, don't you? Not to cut you off, but you know what's going to happen.
No, you're good.
What's going to happen is you're going to get to my level of behind in the CW, and then eventually you're just going to say, "Fuck it, I don't want to go back and watch."
Just going to cut the cord. Yeah, it's possible. I'm
like,
maybe I'm just deluding myself right now.
Catch like 1 or 2 episodes of like Love Triangle, and then you'll be like, fuck, I don't really don't want to go back and watch this shit, and then you'll just stop.
I think I think if I do go back, I think I'll probably cut Riverdale out because I don't know if I can do more of that. Because what I watched in that second season was not good. But I think I have a natural affinity for the superhero shows enough that like I will, if nothing else, they'll become guilty pleasures. I mean, shit, they already are, really. I think, again, it was a point in time, I think, where the shows were legitimately done pretty well, and then it seems like they just got lazier and lazier as they went on. But I don't know. It's, if I find the time, maybe over the summer or something like that, I might try to work my way through it. But yeah, I wouldn't be surprised because there's a lot of episodes to catch up on. And, as I just talked about, there's a lot of TV shows out there that perhaps are more demanding of your time and investment. So, yes, I bring that up because there is no end in sight with those bad boys. Let's put it that way. And for those that enjoy them, that's good. That's good news. What else are they going to make, really? And for those that have cut the cord, no harm done. You're just wipe your hands clean and move along. So you have one piece of news left, right? Right, and then we'll get into the Super Bowl stuff.
Yeah. We have another name. I hate names. Upgrade, that movie that I fell asleep in.
Yeah.
That a lot of people say it was really good, that I just fell asleep in, and I haven't rewatched. That director, which is Leigh Whannell.
Leigh Whannell.
Leigh Whannell, okay. They are, he's going to be directing an Invisible Man movie, like the Universal creature
monster right? Yeah.
thing, right? So, it's going to be produced by Jason Blum, who I believe helped produce Upgrade, if I'm not mistaken. Is that right?
Yeah. So Blumhouse Productions, that's his production company. So that's a lot of the low budget horror movies,
which I think
some of them quite good. Like Get Out was one that was a Blumhouse one.
And apparently,
Halloween,
what little bit of
last year
action sequence and stuff I saw in Upgrade, I feel like that was an exceptionally made.
For the budget, it looked like they spent a lot more money than they did. I guess I'll put it that way. Yeah, I really enjoyed Upgrade.
I need to rewatch it.
So,
anyways, I feel like
he was also co-director of the first Saw, as a side note, which I know you have seen with James Wan. So,
and so I think it's an approachable. I think it's a good director. I feel like that's a good niche between Blumhouse and the director from Upgrade. I feel like they can probably make some magic. That's what I think.
Yeah. So I think maybe something that's kind of somewhat buried in this news release for Leigh Whannell doing the Invisible Man is that the Dark Universe has officially come to an end. They are killing it after one movie, after one entry of The Mummy.
Okay, which was
it was supposed to be another MCU type big universe. They had Russell Crowe in The Mummy, and he was Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, and he was terrible in it. As a side note, but they were trying to do this whole big thing. Johnny Depp was supposed to be the fucking Invisible Man. They literally cast him. They put all the people in a room together. Him and Tom Cruise and Russell Crowe. They're all sitting in a room together and like, look at these movies we're going to make. And then The Mummy was a big flop. And well, it wasn't a Russo yell, but it was a different sort of yell. So I think we didn't break any promises there. So yeah. Anyway, that's all done.
So is this like a reboot?
Yeah, I think this is like, you know what, we're gonna, instead of dropping $200 million on pieces of shit like The Mummy, we're gonna take a very different approach and go, ultra
very
low budget,
passionate, low budget movie.
Yeah, and I think that makes sense. I mean, something like The Invisible Man. Shit, man, you don't even have to have him in the frame most of the movie. That's amazing. Like, that is like the best budget saving device you could possibly think of. So yes. So it's appropriate, I would say.
Right.
So that's I think that's kind of the trajectory that Universal is now going to follow, and I think that's probably a smart move. So yeah, good for them. Good for them.
You got a lot of news for us. We're going to talk about right now.
Yeah, let's run through the Super Bowl TV spots.
Dump it quick. Dump it fast.
Quite a few. We got Alita: Battle Angel up at the top. It's coming out in a couple weeks, so I don't think we really need to spend too much time on it. I think we can both say that we were supposed to attend an early screening of this that did not work because we were too late for it.
And so we weren't too fucking late. They just don't email you to let you know that we overbooked and everybody else is there.
They overbooked like a motherfucker because I looked the day of the showing and they were still giving out passes. Usually they like cap it like 25, 30 people over the limit. Like, some of these people aren't going to show up, but we'll figure it out. But I don't think they ever actually closed it. So they probably double booked like almost every seat in the house. So anyway, we didn't see it. We will see it. We will talk about it in a couple weeks when it does officially come out. But,
you were officially going to hear it first here, though. And I was excited about that because I was going to hit you up and say, listen, we need to talk about it early. We need to talk about it now.
The TV spot, I've seen 800 trailers for this. It's been delayed a year and a half. So we've literally been seeing trailers for it for like a year and a half now. So I am curious about it. Do want to see it. Early reviews are mixed on it, but that's better than bad. So yeah,
let's see what happens. There's that.
Yeah. We got two big Marvel ones. Do you want to save those for last, or you want to go ahead and just get into them?
No, just dump them all. Dump them all, man.
Let's dump them all. All right. So Avengers Endgame. We're going in alphabetical order now.
Okay.
Avengers Endgame got a 30-second spot. Showed very little of the film, but I feel like it delivered enough to give you the tone, the feel of the movie, to show the effects of the decimation.
Yeah, everybody's real sad. It does not look. It looks pretty dour. I'm pretty excited about it. Actually, I'm really excited.
And that's a funny point because I felt the same way. Where it's like we've spent 20 movies in this cheery Marvel universe, and then when we get like a dark movie, we're like, "Fuck yeah, this is awesome." Whereas DC did the other way of like. They're like 10 dark movies, and they're like, oh my god, enough, dude, Jesus Christ! And then they give us like a little bit of life, and you're like, yes, where's this been? You know, it's kind of the reverse trajectory.
Well, there's a lot to say about dynamics, man. Dynamics are important. You got to have highs and lows. You know, highs and lows, and the Marvel universe gets no lower. Half of the entire population of fucking everything got deleted. So I mean,
this is the first time that there's been like some real major real life consequences, I think, for the Marvel universe.
For real.
So the heroes are at their lowest points. So it's interesting because, you know, one would expect that they will presumably Thanos isn't going to win again, but there might be some sacrifice, there might be some cost to it, you know, I think by the end of, you know, everything. So but I think that it's very interesting to see this as kind of the flip side to Infinity War, you know, of the repercussions that really felt. And it's a spot that I think does a good job of telling you, much like the trailer, telling you exactly nothing about the movie, but everything you need to know. You know, it gives you enough. So it's cool. Captain Marvel also got a TV spot, 30-second spot. Higher, further, faster, baby.
Yeah. Excited about that one, too. I am super excited about Captain Marvel.
She punched a fucking jet. I don't know, or some sort of aircraft. Could have been a Kree jet or could be a Skrull jet. You know?
I've seen it.
Discriminate against alien species. So, yeah, it looks very cool. Very excited. It's right around the corner. It's pretty much almost a month away, literally.
Yeah,
a month and a couple days at this point. So
I'm really excited about it. Super excited.
Yeah, I'm definitely big time sold on it. Big time slap the base sold. I mean, I don't think Paul Rudd's going to make an appearance in that, but he will be an Endgame. So there's that. Big time. I got a two for one kind of package deal here with Fast and Furious presents Hobbs and Shaw, which next to the blah 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 Emancipation of Harley Quinn might also be one of the worst titles of any movie that we're talking about in general, certainly on this episode, but in general.
I feel like Hobbs and Shaw's enough, but they have to staple it to Fast and Furious, so
we'll just call it Fast and Furious Hobbs and Shaw. Get rid of this presents bullshit, you know? Like, I don't like, it's the same thing with like a Star Wars story. It's just like, just call it like Star Wars Rogue One or Star Wars Solo or something, you know? Like, I don't need this blah 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 Star Wars story. Like, I get the branding part of it. I totally get that, but it's not. I don't. There's when it's literally part of your title. It's like, nah, it's not good. It's not good. But we got. I think we got a 30-second spot during the game, and then we got a full 3-minute trailer that actually went online a few days ahead of the game, and
which I caught for the first time just a couple minutes ago. I'm stoked. I am very much excited. I think I am very much more excited about Hobbs and Shaw than I have been for any Fast and Furious.
Yeah, I think, I can see that. I mean,
it's evolving past Fast Furious. You know what I mean? Now we're just going for a cartoonish action movie.
It's like, yeah, it's like this looks like one of the most ludicrously stupid films you could possibly make. But it's by design, you know. It's like they've officially like gone to a crossover with the superhero genre. Like Idris Elba's character describes himself as like bulletproof and superhuman, and he's the bad guy in this.
And he's punching holes through like steel trucks
and like
shit.
Just the whole thing is just so ridiculous and so over the top in a way that I think the Fast and Furious franchise has come close to. But this, in some ways, I think for anyone that's like holding on to that very faint sliver of hope of like maybe Fast and Furious will be about cars and racing once again. It's all dead now.
There's no turning back.
They have jumped the shark. They have grabbed hold of a shark and rode that shark and then jumped over another shark.
That's right.
There is so much shark jumping going on. It is patently absurd, and I'm here for it too, man. This looks so fucking colossally stupid that I cannot help but be excited by it.
Yeah, it's got an excellent star-studded cast, man.
Yeah, cast is fun, man. We like The Rock. We like Statham. We like
Elba.
We like Idris Elba.
Mm-hmm.
You know, so that's very good. And Vanessa Kirby joining the cast as well from Mission Impossible Fallout. She was some sort of Bae in that. I forget what you might have identified her as in that.
Is she the daughter of the original Mission Impossible?
Yes, correct.
Oh,
correct.
What do you call her? I can't remember.
I don't know. But it was some variant of the Baes.
Yeah.
But yes, so that's cool. Very cool. Directed by David Leitch of the Deadpool 2, Atomic Blonde, and John Wick 1 fame. So I think the action, if nothing, is going to be worth your ticket. You know, especially when you got an AMC A-list pass, you're going to be fine. But yeah, it looks fun.
Might catch it on the big D.
Mike, it's a big D kind of movie, absolutely. 30-second spot for Netflix's Our Planet. This is a nature documentary, I believe actually from the creators of Planet Earth, if I'm not mistaken, coming to Netflix exclusively, going to be narrated by Sir David Attenborough, much like the Planet Earth series was. Yeah. 8 parts, and presumably it will be, in 4K and look gorgeous, as it
should.
Well, should. So, yeah, I watched Planet Earth 2 not too long ago, kind of over the winter break, and it was phenomenal. So I'm very much in on something like this. Looks great. Can't wait to see what they focus on kind of for the episodes. Looks very cool.
Cool. Very cool.
Very cool. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, produced by one Guillermo del Toro. And we got actually 4 different spots for this, each a little bit shorter, about 15 seconds. I assume the film itself will have an anthology structure to it. I can't imagine they would try to create one large narrative with everything kind of intertwined.
Do you think that they would? Do you think they're going to do Buster Scruggs kind of deal?
Well, that's what I'm saying. I think it has to. I would think it has to be like that.
It's either that or episodes.
You could cross-cut. No, I think it's a theatrical release. So
okay, yeah. So it's got to be Buster Scruggs. That's cool.
Yeah. Say the only thing I could think is you could cross-cut instead of just doing like a 20-minute block, blah, blah, blah. You could cross-cut throughout the entire thing, like Sin City style.
Okay.
So I don't know what they're doing. I don't think... I remember loving these books as a kid, and some of the images, that they were kind of trying to resemble. I kind of was like, oh, I remember that.
Yeah.
Like that's cool.
But big toe.
Yeah, the big toe definitely was one of them. But there really wasn't enough here for me to like tell you one way or another if it looks good. I'll definitely see it.
I'm excited.
Yeah, like I think it definitely could be cool, but I couldn't qualitatively say whether it looks good or not. So, but I'll definitely see it. Sounds cool. I wish Del Toro himself was actually directing. That would inspire a lot more confidence. I know it's just a produced by situation, which who knows what that really means, but either way, cool. Very cool. Very cool.
Very cool.
Handmaid's Tale Season 3.
That looks intense as fuck.
I didn't watch it because, again, I'm like, I don't want to like spoil myself on things, but I imagine it would look dark and depressing, as I believe is pretty standard for that show.
It does. I've seen the first season. I didn't watch season 2, so
yeah. So I guess it's coming out
as it should be, but
it's coming out later this year, so you'll have some time. to catch up on season 2. You're a lot closer than I am. Let's put it that way. So
that's true. Yeah, it's a hard thing to grind through, though.
As I recall, seems to get pretty good. I know obviously the season 1 reviewed very well, but I'm pretty sure season 2 was, from what I understand, kind of of the same caliber. So
yeah, for sure.
It's another one. Twilight Zone from the mind of Jordan Peele. Yeah, this looks awesome. I enjoyed the way that they did it. It's kind of like a fake out returning from the commercial break for the CBS broadcast. And I'm pretty sure there's been multiple failed attempts to do the Twilight Zone again. But I think they made a movie. There was a movie, and then another. Yeah, 90s I think there
show.
might have been another attempt at a show as well, but I think they've all kind of fallen flat on their face. But I think Jordan Peele could be the one to pull it off.
If you're gonna judge narrators like hosts for the for the Twilight Zone, I feel like the original guy, which I think his last name was Sterling.
Rod Serling.
And he won Sterling. Sterling with no T.
With no T, correct.
Right. He won. I think he won. He was Oscar nominated for that thing a couple times. And he's really good. Like I was sick over. I was sick over the New Year's, and I Sci-Fi had a fucking like 2 day long marathon going on of it, and I sat there and everybody's skiing and having fun, enjoying their shit, and I sat there and grinded through a bunch of Twilight Zone, and it's really good. It's really fucking good, man. The concepts and stuff, it's ridiculous. So well written. It's excellent show.
And someone made this comment online, and I actually thought it was kind of interesting that Black Mirror is kind of the modern day Twilight Zone in a way.
No doubt about it.
So
it.
I wonder where does a new Twilight Zone kind of fit into that?
I think it might fit into a.
Is it something that maybe is more deliberately designed to be a throwback instead of the perils of modern technology? If it's just more like, hey, we'll touch on kind of the themes that maybe the original show dealt with.
I think the Twilight Zone,
with a modern twist to it.
Like I feel like Black Mirror is kind of a little bit more grounded. You know what I mean? It's very much.
Well, I think there's usually a technology basis. At least the ones that I saw.
With Twilight Zone, you can go way the fuck out there. Right. It doesn't need to be rooted in anything in particular, which is pretty.
But either way, like I said, I'm definitely in for this.
Yes, and I think Jordan Peele's going to make a excellent narrator. Not to keep on.
I agree. CBS All Access is kind of the only thing that makes me pause. But
what? I have to pay to watch it.
Yeah. I mean, it's true of most things, of everything, really, in a way. But it's just another thing, to put on the list. So
at least we might do Star Trek with it, right?
That's true. It's true. We can double up. We got another thing from Jordan Peele in Us. Since we're already talking about Jordan Peele, I figure we might as well talk about it. We got a minute-long spot/trailer for this. A little bit more footage than we saw in the debut trailer. Still looks whack as fuck. I don't know exactly what's happening with this, but Jordan Peele equals yes, I'm in. I'm in on it.
Can you take what you've seen of Us and what we know of Get Out, and could you? I mean, is it a stretch to say those are almost like Twilight Zone things?
I think that he said that Jordan Peele said that Us is a lot more straightforward horror than Get Out was.
All right.
So I don't know. I don't know how related they are. I mean, they are coming from the same mind, so there's probably bound to be some things in common, I would imagine. But
I could see both things. Well, from what I've seen of Us, we obviously haven't seen it, but I could see both of those things being like a Twilight Zone episode, a little bit Twilight Zone-ish.
Yeah, but it looks completely bonkers. So I'm excited for it.
Yeah,
it's right around the corner. Comes out in March, so I feel like we'll probably do an episode on it. Last one, Toy Story 4 got a little TV spot actually right after the game.
I definitely didn't see that.
Yeah, well, it's online. I mean, all these are obviously online. Right. Just search for on YouTube or whatever. But it's another 30 seconds of Toy Story. It's another one like all the footage we've gotten has been kind of like little snippets from scenes and stuff like that. So most of this was Buzz at like a carnival, like he's like a prize on the wall, and then he's interacting with the Key and Peele characters. Holy shit, Jordan Peele! What the fuck? That's 3 in a row. Jordan Peele won the Super Bowl. Fuck the Patriots again.
Jordan Peele won it. Yeah,
Jordan Peele won the Super Bowl. That's who won it. So Key and Peele are playing these two kind of new animated characters in Toy Story 4. So it's them kind of interacting with Buzz for most of the spot. I gotta say, the lighting in this looks absolutely ridiculous. I mean, obviously, like, Pixar's technology ain't nothing to fuck with, but it looks especially ridiculous in this TV spot, and I imagine that will be true of the movie itself. Toy Story 4.
Absolutely. I'm fucking excited.
Yeah, I'm in on it. I'm in on it. None of the footage has gotten me like overly excited in a way that I'm like, oh yes, I definitely needed a Toy Story 4. I still feel like it feels weird after a Toy Story 3, but I trust Pixar. I trust Disney. I trust the good folks over there to deliver a product that was worth making. So, and so far I really haven't had any reason to actually doubt that. So, that was a lot of news. A lot of news. But we're through it. And we've got a TV show that we're going to talk about right now, and that is a TV show called Marvel's The Punisher Season 2. Showrunner was Steve Lightfoot, returning from the first season. Also returning from the first season, John Bernthal as Frank Castle, a.k.a. The Punisher. Ben Barnes as Billy Russo.
Russo!
Yeah, I kind of egged you on a little bit for that, but Amber Rose Riva back as Dina Madani, Jason R. Moore as Curtis, and then we've got 3 newcomers to the starring cast: Josh Stewart, the aforementioned Josh Stewart as John Pilgrim, Floriana Lima as Dr. Lady, whatever her name is, psychologist, yes, and then Georgia Wiggum as. Well, maybe we shouldn't say her name. But those are the 3 newcomers. Here, Season 2, Frank Castle's attempt at living a quiet life evaporates when he finds himself embroiled in the attempted murder of a young girl, forcing him to once again become the vigilante known as the Punisher.
Yeah, his quiet life evaporates within the first episode.
About an episode. Lasts about an episode. I mean, it's a show called The Punisher. Someone's going to get punished, let's put it that way. And before we jump into non-spoilers, I do want to introduce a new segment for all the Marvel Netflix shows that we're going to talk about, of which only 2 remain. Cancellation Watch. Right now, The Punisher is still alive. Believe it or not, it is still alive. It has not been officially canceled.
As of February 5th.
It has not been officially renewed either, as you might expect, but Netflix has not put a bullet in Frank Castle's head just yet. So we'll see what they do. We'll keep tabs on it. Anything happens on that front, we'll of course keep you guys updated. But let's talk some non-spoilers for The Punisher Season 2. How'd you like it? Or did you like it? Did you hate it? What did you think?
Thought it was, thought it was okay. It had some high points and some low points. You know what I mean? I feel like the action was good when the action happened. I felt like there was a lot of
yes.
I felt like there was a lot of troughs where you're waiting on something to happen, and then
there was a lot of nothing happening for a good chunk of the season.
Yeah,
yes.
And it's kind of disappointing because I mean it is the Punisher. You go to see some high action stuff, but when high action did happen, I felt like it was pretty good. I enjoyed the action sections, but there was just a lot of just waiting around for something to happen. And that's pretty much it. You put it on, you're waiting, and it's not even like an every episode thing. I felt like I don't think it happened every.
Yeah,
episode.
It's not 40 minutes of slow build up and then you release
action, right?
At the end, it's like no, you wait like 5 episodes and then you're like,
hey, that was pretty cool.
and then when it does finally happen, you're like, fuck yeah.
Where's that?
I guess you got to spread your budget or whatever, but yeah. I agree. I think pacing is obviously the biggest issue with it. It's a recurring issue with the Netflix shows. They're no stranger to having pacing issues. I honestly don't recall how I felt about the pacing in the first season. I could make a point of comparison. I don't recall it being as much of a slog for parts of the season. I feel like it had a better balance. Right. I definitely know that it was. There's quieter parts of the show, and there's a lot of Frank schmoozing Micro's wife and all that for a bit of time. But
the pacing was.
But
the pacing's
felt like it was interspersed enough that it kept you engaged.
Or maybe
like usually
you cared enough. Maybe that might be a thing. You might be.
I don't know. Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like some of the investment in some of the characters was little bit lackluster. Like I didn't feel overly attached to really any, like, for example, what was the guy's name in the first one, which makes it sound like I wasn't attached to his character, but I was. Micro, yeah, I like that fucking dude. Like I was
Lieberman.
Yeah, I liked him a lot. I thought he was great. I thought he had really good. I thought he had a very believable, very real, rooted presence. In the story, where I don't necessarily, I just don't feel the same way about our female main antagonist. You know what I mean? Or protagonist. Fuck, I can't remember what word's right. I'm so uneducated. Protagonist is the word I'm looking for. Yeah, I just don't feel that. I don't feel that way about her. To be fair, you've actually witnessed me drink these beers. I'm several beers in now.
Our listeners will be shocked to hear this.
What? No.
And you're drinking alcohol? I've never heard of such a thing.
feel like Preacher John, or not Preacher John.
John Pilgrim.
John Pilgrim.
Hey, now. Let's not go there yet.
He falls.
Let's not get there yet.
Sorry. Okay. Yeah. Dial it back. I do feel like the villains had a. You have reoccurring characters, like what's this? Russo.
We do know Billy Rose is in. We've talked about the man at length already. We've shouted his name at length already. At least
Russo pisses him off a good deal. Pisses a lot of people off. Even FBI babe. What's her name?
DHS.
DHS.
Try this again.
DHS Bay. Madani.
Yeah.
Madani. Yeah, it pisses her off, and yeah, he leaves a lot of people shook. Which is, I think that's a testament from the first season. I thought the first season was really strong. I don't want to say I feel like there's a great departure from the first season. Maybe not great, but there's a significant departure to say the least. But her character's pretty good in this season, I guess. Not as good as in the first, but I mean, she's got a real reason to feel the way she does, and that's pretty much all I got. I feel like the characters are somewhat shallow. I feel like the action is there's a long waiting period between shots of intensity and stuff, and I feel like I feel less involved with everyone. So if Netflix decides to cancel this series, I will not miss it nearly as much as Daredevil. That's what I've got.
I agree with some of your points, not all of them. I think the pacing is easily my number one issue with this particular season.
That's significant.
And in that, I think if you look at it as, I think episodes 1 through 3, great. I think 4 through probably 9, that's a big block. It's not bad. Nothing in it is outright bad, but it's just a big lull in the middle of the season, and it kind of, it's like, I'm just, you really are playing the waiting game.
Yeah.
And to be fair, a lot of the characters in it are playing the waiting game too, but it just doesn't make for exciting television. I think that's a problem. It's a failing of the television show and making the show and making you want to be invested,
and
it doesn't give you much incentive for it.
I mean, I think that's the best way to put it, is that the fact that, if you have a lull in action in order to develop one thing or the other, and to make you more, to care more or something like that, I feel like it's more permissible. But in this case, I don't know. I don't feel like a whole lot developed. You know what I mean? Or things developed and I just didn't care about them.
I didn't have any issues with the actual plot developments. Some of them I did, actually. I take that back. There's a, I don't know if I should technically classify it as an A or B plot, but I found that certain parts of the storyline were more compelling than others.
Absolutely.
And there were parts of the story that, when it focused on that, I don't want to say it dragged the show down, but it kind of did.
I think there was just kind of stupid.
There was too much time, I think, devoted to certain aspects of the story, and I'll save that for spoilers, because it's going to be too hard to just keep dancing around it.
Right.
So I'll just kind of talk more structurally about the show. I think that this is a show that should have been 8 to 10 episodes at most. There's no way this should have been 13. I know Iron Fist cut back to 10. That was a smart move, I thought. Daredevil was 13 as I recall, but it felt justified as being 13.
It felt like a good 13. Yeah, I don't remember
like
any
this was obviously a show that was stretched very thin, probably closer to Jessica Jones season 2. Another Netflix Marvel season that was just stretched too thin. And it's not that any of it's necessarily bad, but when you stretch it out, it highlights things that don't work as well as others, and it really just makes you long for the things that do work, and that's unfortunate. Because I think there are some really great things happening in this show. Full credit to John Bernthal again, who I believe is fantastic in this role. It's a very different interpretation of Frank Castle, the Punisher. He's like, this is easily the most emotional Frank Castle in any medium ever. But I don't think that's a bad thing. I think that he does a great job with the role, and I think that the way that they've made him this version of this character, he sells all of it, man. Like, obviously,
he is the Punisher.
Season 1. But that's just it. He's not. He is and he isn't. Like he kind of switches modes, between being Frank Castle and being the Punisher when he needs to be the Punisher. And I think that's kind of the whole thing through this. Well, it's definitely a thing. I think in the first season, he was pretty much the Punisher until the end. And then he was kind of just like, okay, I've kind of, done what I needed to do. And so when we pick up with this season, Frank Castle is living the quiet life. It's not until something happens where he kind of reverts maybe to his baser instincts and becomes the Punisher. So you could make an argument, I guess, at that point, whether Frank is really Frank or if he's just really the Punisher all along. But that's something that the show, I think, deals with pretty, dead on towards the end of the season, particularly. So I thought the character work in this was actually pretty good overall in terms of him, in terms of
he's got
George
an
Wiggum's
excellent
character.
Story beat. He's got an excellent plot line.
I thought that the Madani stuff was done pretty well overall. I think that honestly, my weak link story-wise is the Russo stuff, and I think that they spend way too much time with it. And I think it works as somewhat of a follow-on to season 1, where obviously the Castle Russo storyline is a major component, especially towards the end of that season. Here, it continues to be that there's a through line there, but I think that
it's like they couldn't make up their mind on who to deal with.
Exactly. Like, it was like I found John Pilgrim to be a much, much more interesting villain than Russo. And I felt like they put him on the back burner way too much in favor of Russo, and I was just... And that happened, I guess, perhaps uncoincidentally, I think during episodes 4 through 9, that lull. And then when shit pops off in the biggest way possible in 10, and then kind of maintains mostly that momentum through the end of the show, I found myself back on board because it was kind of getting back to the things where I'm like, oh, this is what I was interested in. This is what got me. Like, I thought the first 3 episodes were great, really hooked me in, and then it just dragged and dragged and dragged until it didn't, and then you're like, okay, I'm back in.
Is 10 the one I texted you about?
Yeah, that's the big one.
Okay, yeah. Okay.
So, but that's like the episode where things finally start happening again. It's like,
you're not wrong. Yeah, for sure.
Someone's firing a gun. Very cool. I didn't know you were allowed to do that. Yeah, there's probably some gunshots in the other ones, but so yeah, I think pacing. That's the biggest thing I'm harping on, because I think that if you fix that, I think this ends up being a really good season of television. I think as it stands, it's pretty good. I think it's overall pretty good because I think there's enough highs to make it work on its kind of own merits there. But I think that there are definitely some beats in it that I would say drag it down kind of on the whole. So just some other thoughts before we get to recommendation. I thought the cast overall pretty good. Yeah. Quite liked all of them. I thought the new additions were pretty good. I liked Georgia Wiggum a lot. I thought she was a nice companion. Worth noting, I don't think this is a spoiler to say, no Micro. I felt like that kind of sucked. I wish we had a little bit more with his character. But, his storyline did conclude. It's just I felt like he and Frank had a really nice dynamic. And I enjoyed that they went to a different direction with pairing him with someone that's very different. But I thought she was really good. Josh Stewart, I thought, was pretty awesome as Pilgrim. Wanted more, as I kind of somewhat talked about. But Ben Barnes, gets a little bit more to chew on here, I think, than he did in season 1. handles it fairly well, I think, as well as could be expected, given the quality of the writing for it, which I think has ebbs and flows overall. And, Amber Rose Riva, Jason R. Moore, both good. Happy to see them back. So, I mean, action when it's there is pretty awesome. There's an elevator sequence in this, Winter Soldier-esque elevator sequence in this that was pretty dope. This is just a minor quibble I have, but there's a lot of CG blood in this, which I found kind of distracting. And sometimes they didn't. Sometimes they actually used like squibs and stuff, and there was clear like practical effects being used. And then other times they just got lazy and are just like, we'll figure it out in post. I don't know, it was like Spartacus-esque, like 300-esque of just like egregiously
I didn't pick up on that
computer-generated blood. So I found that kind of distracting at times. But it's a minor quibble, but it was just kind of like, I mean, I guess is that cheaper? So it's easier than actually, like practically rigging people with squibs to blow up and whatever. But anyway, bottom line, we can talk about our bottom line in the recommendation section. That seems like a pretty good way to do it.
Okay, yeah, totally.
Because it sounds like you're out of non-spoiler thoughts. Is that
pretty much
right?
it?
Okay.
Pretty much spent.
All right. So recommendation. We haven't done a TV show in I think a good handful of episodes. Maybe Daredevil was the last one we did.
I think so.
Not sure, but friendly reminder for our listeners that we have a TV specific ratings scale with 5 tiers in it. The bottom tier is shithouse. Then there's fine, totally fine, yes, and very yes. Very yes being, of course, the best that we can assign to any one television show. So, where do you think this fits into our very scientific ratings scale?
I think that this is a totally fine television show. That's what I think. I think that it there's a few points of excitement. I think that the characters are developed well enough. And I think that the only way you're going to watch season 2, I wouldn't say that season 2 was inspiring enough for you to catch season 1. You should just watch season 1 on its own merit, and then if you want to watch season 2, it's a decent continuation if you want to see a little bit more Punisher action. That's the way I would put it.
Yeah.
If you said season 1 was so it's okay, I didn't totally love it, then don't even worry about season 2. You're fine. Leave it. You know what I mean? I think season 2 is only acceptable if you're really into just watching a little bit more Punisher. And I was pumped up at the end of Punisher. I was real excited about it. But this, if Netflix chooses to cancel the show, like I said, hopefully Marvel decides to pick it up on a later date and do something new or whatever. I don't know what direction they would go in, but if this doesn't get renewed, I feel like I'm not surprised, and it's okay. That's the way I feel about it. I feel like it's just a totally fine television show.
Yeah, I think I'll give it a yes. I think it's definitely better than totally fine. I'd say in the broader scheme of the Marvel Netflix shows, this was the second best of the recent entries. I would say. I think Daredevil season 3 is significantly better than this, but I would place this above the likes of Jessica Jones, Luke Cage, and Iron Fist's second seasons, personally.
Right.
I think it's definitely better than all of those, but it has, obviously, flaws of its own. I would say I was trending towards fine / probably totally fine, I think, in the middle there, but it kind of won me back by the end. So,
all right.
The last 4 episodes, I think, were kind of what brought me back to giving it a yes and feeling comfortable with that. I enjoyed it. I enjoyed it quite a bit. Said I just wish that I wish it was tighter. I wish it was a tighter experience. I think a tighter experience would have translated to a really good experience that would make me want to recommend you go back and watch season 1. I fully agree with you. Like, if you're not invested, I'm not gonna. Like, it's not a show that, like, I'm like, dude, you got to watch the first season and then catch up on this. It's like, no, I mean, like, you should watch the first season because the first season's better. and it's worth watching because it's good.
It's good.
It's pretty. It's really. I think it's one of the best Marvel Netflix seasons. Individual
definitely.
seasons for sure. So if you like that, then absolutely watch this. I think it is definitely a bit of a come down. I think season 1 is definitely better. But I think that there's enough here that it didn't fall flat for me. I wouldn't say it was just kind of I wish it was better. I wish if nothing else it was equal in strength to the first season, but it wasn't. It was coming from a pretty high enough place that it still lands. I think somewhere that isn't. It's worse. It's I think objectively. Well, I guess subjectively worse because I'm saying my opinion, but I think that there's enough merit to it for it to stand on its own, for it to be successful enough that I can say that it's a yes kind of show for me. So let's slide into some spoilers for Punisher season 2 and talk full spoilers.
Full spoilers. Season 2. Punisher. I think that was a Russo yell about Punisher season 2, but
something
like that. I tried.
Yeah,
it's okay.
Like
Whatever.
You were just you were so emotional. The man responsible for the death of your family.
Let me tell you what made me fucking emotional was season 10. No, episode 10. Sorry.
Okay. I was
Episode
like, what
10.
the fuck? Netflix is just like, fuck Daredevil. We're making 10 fucking shows of 10 seasons of fucking Punisher, man. Episode 10. So yeah, episode 10 was, you had texted me about this. You talked about this. Just kind of like a really holy shit kind of thing. So that was Pilgrim losing his shit in the front half, and then Castle getting fucking obliterated towards the end,
yeah.
And then leaving him at the next to the 3 dead women, thinking that he was responsible for that. So that was
a holy shit episode.
I was bringing the show back in a big bad way. It's just
you got that first episode, or the first episode. You get the bar fight.
Mm-hmm.
That's pretty good.
The first 3 episodes I think are fantastic.
Yeah,
I thought
good.
It's once the show goes back to New York that it becomes boring as shit.
It's true,
because it's literally just them hiding. Like,
but I mean, as far as
we can't do anything because we can't go out in the open because we'll get killed. Yeah,
that Russo episode was pretty good though. What episode was that? What episode did Russo make that machine gun and he confronts him out in the city?
Yeah, I think that might have been like 7 or 8. So there was some gunplay here and there.
A little bit here and there,
Yeah, when he goes out in the street and he's finally wearing the vest, the bloody vest.
Russo.
Yeah.
Yeah. It gets kind of there's highlights in there, but overall it's just kind of
I think my problem is. And again, this is a knock on the pacing, I think overall, is that the balance between the A and B plots, I would say the A plot is the one we start with. It's the one with Amy, who we can now call Amy for sure. Probably could have called her Amy before. I don't think that anyone would have cared. But the plot with Amy, whatever conspiracy she's caught up in, the Pilgrim, being the villain of that, that probably could have been its own season. You know what I mean? Maybe not a 13 episodes. Hopefully not a 13 episode season. They couldn't even fill a fucking 13 episode season with 2 different seasons mashed into one.
That's true. No, you're very right though. Right.
That's the A plot. That's a totally separate thing. And then there's the B plot.
Hey, we don't want to get rid of Russo. We need to talk about him too.
Right. And, so they have Russo, kind of going through this. He's Jigsaw, which it's this psychological take on Jigsaw, which is all fine. Obviously, they didn't have the makeup budget to make him real ugly. I find it ridiculous that there's multiple scenes in this where people see Ben Barnes with his 5 scars on his face and like, oh my god, you're a monster. And I'm like, is he? He looks he's still incredibly handsome, far more handsome than myself, with the scars too. And it's just like, I mean. The whole point is that you have this very handsome actor, you got this pretty face and he gets roughed up, but he still just looks like himself. I kind of found like I said, it's a different take on the character. They're going for the angle that he's mentally broken. He doesn't understand things. And I thought that worked well enough on its own merits, but I also kind of felt like if they're going to try to lean into that whole physical transformation aspect of it, then they really should have leaned into it. I don't think they needed to go full tilt the way they did with Punisher Warzone. I don't know if you've seen
I've seen
from that movie.
Yeah, no.
But dude is mutilated as fuck. Like, I don't think they needed to get that extreme with it. But I don't know. It didn't totally work for me. And I think that's the thing for me is it wasn't so much the take on the character as the plot developments with the character that I found largely contrived. The relationship with Dumont, the psychologist, I mean, there was something off with her from the beginning. I got as much there, but I never bought into that, and I never really bought Russo too much as a sympathetic character. I think largely because of season 1, and I don't know. I think that
I never bought into the lady, that girl either, the little girl.
I didn't buy in. You didn't buy into who?
The Amy. I didn't buy into Amy.
I bought into Amy. She was a kid, kind of caught up in some shit. I got that. I think I bought into Amy more as an extension of Frank's protection instincts as a father.
No, I definitely agree with that 100%. But I don't accredit Amy to that. I feel like that's totally Frank on his own. I tell you what I feel like. I feel like I
think that their relationship together, I don't think it works without her.
Not saying that she doesn't portray a. I don't know. She's a fine actress. I just think
she's much more antagonistic in the beginning of the season, and as she kind of warms up to him, I think that's a strength of her character is the way that they kind of form this bond together. Especially by the end, I think by the end when she does kind of get to go off and be like, okay, now I'm going to try to actually be a kid. For once, I 100% bought into that. No problem. So I don't really agree with that.
I think that whole plot point is underdeveloped, or just didn't feel. It felt disingenuous, and then I feel like his plot. I didn't really care for both plot points. I kind of got stuck in the middle, and I didn't really care for either one. You know what I mean?
Which one are you saying is disingenuous?
I feel like I think that
because I don't think either of them are disingenuous. I think this is my reading of it is that even with my I think issues individually with the developments, like I said, the Russo and the psychologist thing didn't really work for me. I think my problem was that the way that the structure of the season was played out is that there's just episodes at a time where Amy is just sitting in a trailer and nothing happens.
Maybe that's my problem.
There's no impetus for that storyline to move on until Pilgrim resurfaces.
Right, I have to split it with this dude. And then
I think that there could, if they wanted to do both, which I don't think they should have. I think that the Russo storyline should have been scrapped entirely. Or I think if they wanted to keep doing the Russo thing, they should have had him in the hospital for most of the season, and then he breaks out in the 13th episode, and then you have this potential season 3 setup. Now, obviously, that wouldn't work, and that's assuming that you would think that you're getting a third season, which it's probably not going to. It's probably safe to say that it will not get a third season. And to the credit of the show, it very much concludes in a way, unlike Iron Fist and Luke Cage, and to some extent Daredevil, in a way that very much feels like it could serve as a series finale and be successful at doing so. Mm-hmm. Those other two, particularly Iron Fist and Luke Cage, were obviously banking on a third season happening. No doubt about that. This one, whether it was a response, whether they reshot stuff or they kind of were preparing for this inevitability, or they just wanted to really wrap it up in a way that, hey, if this is it, then this is it. It very much felt like that kind of moment, especially somewhat jumping ahead, but there's kind of a, I think there's a leap in logic between the wrap up to Frank and Amy's storyline, to Frank just going out with a clean vest and trench coat and just pulling out a couple SMGs and just going ham, and then in memory of Stan Lee, I'm just okay. I mean, I get it, he's the Punisher and all, it's all well and good, but I felt like
that shit was stupid. I didn't care for that at the end at all. I'm sorry.
That felt like this is the last bit of the Punisher you'll ever see on Netflix. That's what that scene felt to me, and that's the comic book Punisher. That's the Ray Stevenson Warzone Punisher. And I could totally see that, but it didn't feel right for this particular iteration of the character. I got it. And, I was like, oh, cool. He's, he's punishing and all that and whatever. But it's just I mean, he just spent a whole season protecting this one kid he doesn't even know. And then he's murdering a bunch of probably young 20 somethings who are caught up in some, gang war or something like that. How do you think they got drafted in that in the first place? I don't know. It kind of felt somewhat short-sighted to kind of have that bit in there.
Right.
Said it was like a cool comic book splash page kind of visual. I'm like, oh, okay, I get it. Punisher's punishing. Like I said, that's all well and cool. I just didn't think it worked as as an actual extension of what the story was supposed to be. Like if they did a third season, which they won't, but if they did, I don't really think it would make sense to have a third season kind of around that. Like because like I said, this is a very emotional version of Frank. This is the most emotional version of Frank I think we've ever seen. Mm-hmm. Usually he is this cold, callous, cold-blooded psychopathic killer who just kills criminals wantonly, and that's his MO.
Sure.
He has a code. He has his code or whatever. But like, dude should be locked up in federal prison for so many years. I mean, if capital execution is a thing, then he would probably be a prime candidate for that sort of thing. You know what I mean?
Sure.
So that to me was weird. I think.
It was a little weird. Yeah, it felt like
anyway. I don't know exactly where I kind of got off base there talking about that, but I think I don't know if I concluded my actual thought on this, but I just found that the balance they tried to strike between the two A and B plots didn't work. Like it was just something. It was very much something went on ice for an episode or two. Like there were several episodes where Amy wasn't in the episode at all. And I'm like, for something that appeared to have been as big of a plot point at the beginning, that the first 3 episodes, revolve around that. I don't know, it was weird to just kind of table that for parts of the show at a time. And then I think Russo, when he kind of enters the picture, kind of takes over the show at points, but I just didn't find his storyline as compelling, And I said I think it would have worked better if that was a back burner storyline, if that was a C plot, you know what I mean?
Sure.
Like you could still have Madani visiting him in the hospital because she's got, basically PTSD from getting shot in the head. That's okay. Yeah.
Right.
I get that. You know what I mean? And that would make sense. Curtis would still he got shot too, like you could still have parts of that aspect, aspects of that storyline integrated and I think a way that would allow the big overall plot of Frank, Amy, and John Pilgrim to play out in, I think, a more satisfying way. Because I think, like, Pilgrim himself gets way shortchanged by the fact that, like, his character's kind of all over the place.
Right.
And, like, we don't really get a good sense of him until maybe the tail end. And even then, it's just like, I wish there was more to this guy. Because I thought Josh Stewart was great. I really liked him.
Yeah. Oh,
but I wanted more of that character. I wanted to understand more, and I felt like kind of the Schultz aspect of things was a little half baked too. Like the whole conspiracy angle of it very much felt unimportant.
No,
throughout
sure. No,
most of it, and by the time it was revealed, it was just like, oh, okay,
whatever.
It was like, I don't think it was obviously designed to be some big, like, massive, shocking reveal or anything like that, but it was just kind of like, I mean, you could have made this interesting. You could have made a whole season out of this if it was interesting in the first place, and I think that's where they probably should have started, So, anyway, that's kind of, I'm not sure what else I have. Oh, I did want to, we kind of laughed a little. We had a bit of a piss take about Frank's attempt at a quiet life, but I liked Frank's attempt at a quiet life.
Yeah, he found a lady, took her out took her out of her house.
I thought that was great. I really, really liked that. I was just like, 13 episodes of this, I'm fine. He's done punishing. He doesn't need to punish one anymore. Obviously we knew things were gonna, move into a different direction. But I thought that was all really well done.
I really enjoyed the first episode. I thought the first episode was really fucking good.
The setting, I like the setting a lot. I like, John Bernthal and Alexa Davalos, she played that character. I don't remember the character's name, but Beth, the bartender. That was great. They had a really good chemistry. Felt natural, like him interacting with her son felt super authentic, and it was just
it's good.
And I think it does kind of set up in a way the fact why Frank would really go out of his way to protect Amy in the way that he did.
Right.
To kind of dive back into that aspect of himself. But I felt, I don't know. It's something like, I mean, obviously Frank's in a different place now. He's using his double SMGs to shoot up gang members, and so that's probably not a good time to go back to Michigan or whatever and hang out with Beth. But I kind of felt like there was a lack of resolution on that storyline. I guess I kind of wanted a little bit more, and I guess maybe that was the point. But it kind of seemed like for something that worked so well early on in the season, they just kind of unceremoniously dropped it and never went back to it in any sort of way. Aside from just kind of Amy being in there, but. I felt like that was the high point of the show. Like, I really enjoyed the last 4 episodes. Don't get me wrong. You know, it was great seeing, you know, Frank being Frank. But I think in the way that like the first season ended with Frank kind of in a, you know, peaceful moment where, you know, I think he sits down at the Curtis's support group at the tail end of season 1, you know, and it's kind of him like actually starting to open up and, you know, be the emotional self that he is. I felt like it would have made more sense to end on that note, on a similar note like that, where, you know, in some mythical universe where Netflix isn't canceling their shows, their Marvel shows, I guess particularly, you know, you could imagine every season is another episode in the Frank Castle life of, well, it's time to settle down for a minute, and then some shit pops off, and Frank's like, I guess I'll grab the vest, you know,
right.
like. You know, I could definitely see that playing out, and I think it would have taken the story a little bit more full circle in the way that the first season was. Mm-hmm. And I guess maybe there's sameness there that you could run into, but at the same time, I just kind of felt like it was too detached. You know, like a really great first 3 episodes, slog, good kind of for separate reasons.
To be fair, a good amount of slog.
There was a good amount of slog. Yeah, it was like. It's like half the season was a slog for a good chunk of it.
Yeah.
And that's unfortunate. You know, you could take that content and strip it down to like 3 episodes instead of 5 or 6, and you would lose nothing of value, I feel. But I think I've probably touched on, really all that I wanted to say about it. You know, like I said, I enjoyed it pretty well. And
you enjoyed a lot when it pops off. In the way it does.
I
when
agree.
It pops off,
and
it pops
again,
off in a big way.
And I will say, even when it is the slog, again, none of it's outright bad. It's just
a slog.
It leaves you wanting. It's not so much that it's like, oh, this dialogue is really bad, or like, oh, this is just really poorly made, or like, oh, this is just poorly acted. It's just like the story's not interesting enough to justify that, and that's a shame. You know, it needed to be tightened up. All right. But I was gonna say, this is like the second episode in a row where like we're spending our spoiler section, but like, if this was a lot better at everything where it wasn't very good,
it would be a little bit better.
It would be so much better. And I'm like, yeah. I mean, that's very valuable insight. If they just made a better version of this, it would have been better.
Yeah.
Why didn't they do that? Why didn't they just make a better version of it? I don't understand.
Pacing. Once again, we talked about television shows, and the issue is maybe not the core ideas of the television show, but maybe it's just the pacing and the way they choose to implement the ideas.
This is, I think, honestly, it might be the most egregious example of bad pacing in any of the Marvel Netflix shows, which I think have largely been all guilty of it. Mm-hmm. This one, I think, might have been the worst of it.
It's very, very evident, for sure.
You know, and I guess maybe, you know, you could, like, Luke Cage season 1 in particular was like, I don't know if it was necessarily a pacing issue. I think that was like a story issue of like big drop off second half.
Right.
You know, I think Jessica Jones has definitely had a lot of pacing issues, but
something was happening at least.
I think what it is that Jessica Jones, I think, is generally more consistent because it never has as high a highs, I think, that the Punisher does. Like, Punisher has really high highs.
Yeah.
Beginning, the bar sequence, the fight, all the characters in that, great. Towards the end with the resolution to all the storylines, Pilgrim and, you know, Castle head to head was dope, you know, and seeing Pilgrim like lose his fucking shit and, you know, have a bit of a meltdown in the hotel.
Yeah.
You know, like all that was just like, those are the highs of this show, and I think they're higher highs than most of the other Marvel Netflix shows aside from Daredevil, I would say. Mm-hmm. And I think that highlights the fact that when it's not anywhere even close to that, you really, really feel it.
Yeah,
you really feel it.
Man. Oh.
So
yeah. Anyways, it's a show. Yeah.
It's a show. Yeah. Say people are probably bitching about our pacing. I'm like, yeah, you said the same thing 300 times. The pacing sucks. You know what sucks on this show? The pacing, because all you're doing is talking about the same shit over and over again. I apologize. Russo! That's it. Punisher season 2. Not bad. You know, if you're invested in season 1, go for it, man. Go
and prepare for pacing.
And walk in with the understanding that it's not a perfect show, but it has some redeeming qualities, absolutely. And take solace, or I don't know, be sad about the fact that maybe it's the last of the Punisher you'll ever see. But again, we will keep you posted if
probably
we receive any developments on that. I think, just as a side note, I think that they should do if under the presumption that Disney will not renew these shows on Hulu, Disney Plus, or whatever, whether it's now or a couple years down the line, I honestly think that they should do like one big Defenders 2.0 type thing and just wrap everyone's storyline up in like a 10-episode arc. Because, like, you know,
that'd be cool.
Luke Cage is like Harlem's boss or whatever, you know.
He's now a gangster, right? Okay.
Iron Fist is meeting up with Orson Randall and, you know, traveling the world or whatever, you know, and Colleen's the fucking Iron Fist now or some shit like that. Daredevil, you know, I think kind of wrapped up more or less, but you could still bring, you know, Bullseye back into the fold if you wanted to. And Jessica Jones, I don't remember what happened with her. I think Trish lost her shit, which we will be getting a season 3 of Jessica Jones, which will almost certainly be the last of the Marvel Netflix entries sometime later this year. But I don't know. I think that would be a good way, you know, to give these characters, I think, a proper send-off would be nice. At least it's wishful thinking. I understand that, but I just think, I don't know, it's shitty to, like, this one works well. Like, you could leave this alone and you're fine. But I don't know. I wish
it'd be nice to have a real good send-off, wouldn't it?
I wish we had a resolution for these characters. Like, if we're going to say goodbye to these characters, and at this point I think that that's the expectation, it'd be nice to have a proper goodbye. So that's what I'll say. So Netflix, if you're listening, I know you have lots of money. I know you can put up, you know, the money for it. So don't give me no excuses. Don't give me no excuses. What have you been up to lately?
I watched a show called The Kingdom or Kingdom.
I believe it's just Kingdom, because I think the
Korean zombie flick takes place in like feudal Japan, but it's not feudal Japan. It's
also
like
on
Korea.
Netflix. Another Netflix
It's also
show.
on Netflix. I did really like that show, and I hope that the show does not get canceled. There's more story to be told. And I think I think it was very well made. It's not like a Romero style zombie with like the slow zombie. It was more like 30 days. 30 days later?
28 days later.
28 days later. Yep. It's more like 28 days later, or Busan. Train to Busan zombies, where they're infected and they run and they bite you when you're infected, kind of deal. But it's cool because I have never seen a zombie movie that takes place in some sort of ancient style setting, so that's pretty neat. And I think that the trimmings of the story are the framing of the story is pretty believable. Pretty, I don't know, it's approachable, and I think it's really good. So yeah, I finished that series. Awesome. What else have I done? I've also played another hour and a half of Resident Evil. So I'm getting further in there. And it's still pretty fucking scary. But I have graduated from not playing it in black and white mode. I am now playing it in color with loud volume. Yeah, so I am progressing.
Soft clap. I give you a soft clap.
That's it. But still only in like hour and a half increments, like once or twice a week. So I have to take it in small bursts by myself. And I've also watched Ace Ventura, Pet Detective 1 and 2. And I have also watched a new Netflix movie starring Jake Gyllenhaal? Yes. Watched a movie with him called Velvet Buzzsaw.
How was it?
What it's It was just okay.
Yeah, I'm telling you, man, Netflix original, I don't know, like, there's obviously some diamonds in the rough, but I don't know, I think
a lot of okay stuff.
It seems like very much a case of quantity over quality.
Yeah, so Velvet Buzzsaw was just okay. Didn't blow my socks off or anything. I had high hopes for it. I thought it was going to be really fucking cool, but then I watched it and it just really wasn't fucking cool. But that's okay. Anyways, what else have I been up to? I feel like there's another thing. Oh, I finally got past the first. I don't know if there's any more, but I'm progressing through Super Smash Bros. So we had a group fight on Super Smash Bros. With you, myself, and Henry, and I took my experience that I learned from the group setting, and I applied it towards a boss in Smash Bros. Spirit Board or whatever, and haven't beat it yet, but I'm still progressing, so it's good. I'm making progress. Anyways, I think that's the definitive version of everything I've been up to. What have you been up to?
Not a whole lot, actually. I went to a little beer festival thing over the weekend, which was pretty cool. Nice. Unlimited sampling, so that was cool.
Unlimited samples?
Yeah, they just gave you like a little glass, and you just walk up to whatever brewery was set up.
Inconvenient to drink is what it is?
Yeah, well, they don't want people dying or anything like that. So, no, but that was cool. But in terms of like consuming content, I really haven't done too much. I've played a little bit of Lumines Remastered for the Switch, which I bought on a sale a while back and hadn't played. Haven't played any Lumines games since the Vita one, Electronic Symphony, and it's good fun.
I have that game.
I'm enjoying it quite a bit. I'm not very good at it, mind you, but I'm getting better. And what else? What else have I been up to? Captain's log. Stardate 23.9. Routed off to the nearest decimal point. We've traveled back in time to save an ancient species from total annihilation. So far, no signs of aquatic life. But I'm going to find it. If I have to tear this universe another black hole, I'm going to find it. I've got to, mister! I, too, have watched the Ace Ventura films. I can't imagine why. Can't imagine why we would do such a thing. But maybe we did it for a very, very, very specific reason. So I've watched that, and we'll be talking about them very shortly. And by the time this goes up on the regular feed for our listeners, I think it's safe to say that our next bonus episode on Patreon will be available, and it will be about the 2 Ace Ventura films. Does that seem like a fair thing to say?
Seems pretty reasonable.
So yeah,
it's definitely worth recording on. That's for sure.
So again, we haven't actually recorded that yet, but by the time this is up, we will have done so, and it will be up on our Patreon. So on that note, thank you all for listening. If you enjoyed what you heard, spread the word to support us on Patreon and gain access to that Ace Ventura bonus episode, along with along with early access to all of our regular episodes. You can go to our website, which is watchreviewrepeat.com. Click the premium tab in the top left, and then click the Become a Patron button. It's $2 a month, gets you all those sweet things that I just mentioned. And Ace Ventura is it's a bit of a, I don't want to say it's a primer, because it actually has absolutely nothing to do with what we're going to be doing with our bonus episodes very soon, but it was kind of a calm before the storm kind of thing. We wanted to have a little bit of fun because we are undertaking a massive project to rewatch all of Game of Thrones before Season 8. The final season of Game of Thrones airs later in April. So Season 1, the rewatch has begun as of today for me, probably very soon for Andrew if it hasn't begun already, and we'll be doing Season 1 later this month. We'll have that up on our Patreon some point this month. We got to figure out the exact scheduling of it, but again, the goal is to have all seasons rewatched by the time the final episode of the show airs, so that's what's happening on that front. You can follow us on Twitter at WRRPod. You can like us on Facebook. You can send us questions, comments, and or suggestions to our Gmail account at watchreviewrepeat@gmail.com. you can find our Mechanolith, or our intro and outro track, Mechanolith by Kevin MacLeod at incompetech.com. And it happens to be licensed under the Creative Commons by Attribution 3.0 license. Our next regular episode that we're going to record on will be for the Lego Movie 2, the second part. Drops this upcoming Friday. Looking forward to it very much. I think the early reviews on it are pretty positive, so that bodes well. So, plenty of Patreon content heading your way. Keep an eye out for that if that appeals to you. Otherwise, we'll catch you on our next regular episode. Andrew,
take care now.
Say,
bye-bye then.